Hey, Eddie Rayner, good afternoon.
How are you, Denis?
I'm very well.
Nice to be here.
Just before we get into a chat, Rick has rung in. Rick, why have you rung in?
Oh, g'day. How are you? Sorry, I'll just get this silly phone off.
Oh, Rick, me old mate.
G'day, Eddie. How are you?
Rick, I don't know who you are, Rick.
Oh, yes, you will. Okay, so
we're not talking Paran, are we?
we are talking Paran.
Do we need to stop the conversation here?
No.
Oh, God, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How good to hear your voice again.
What was your wife's name, or girlfriend's name again at the time?
Oh, Frenity.
I could tell you some. Is she still with you?
No, she's gone by the wayside, but I have been married 26 years just recently.
Thought you were going to say 26 times.
Yeah. And I still stay in touch with Kay, Kay and Jem.
Yeah. Kay Ramsbottom and
your
Jem
roadies.
Rayner.
Yes, that's it.
Jem Rayner, my namesake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and how's Raywin?
Gone by the boards, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's a shame.
But she's well. She's very well.
That's great.
We had 4 boys in the end.
Wow.
One of whom's a muso?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my Harley. He
Yep.
lives in the States. Been there for about 5 or so years.
Well, Rick,
Oh, wow.
thank you for
Just fantastic to hear your voice. Good on you, mate.
Thanks for calling, Rick. Lovely to hear from you.
Good on you, Rick. Thank you for calling in, and maybe you'll be there on November 17 at Hamer Hall. The show is called Enzo. Just before we get into that, you were also a musical director for Idol in New Zealand?
Yeah, not one of my finest claims to fame.
Why?
Well, New Zealand Idol. It was a thing to fill in some time, but it was really the first time I'd ever dealt with playing covers. I'd always only ever really been in original bands. In fact, Split Enz was one of my first. Was my second band, and prior to Split Enz, I was only ever doing original stuff anyway. So playing covers is a bit of an experience for me. But so being a musical director for covers, essentially what it's covers, was a bit different.
What about the Conrays?
Man. The Conrays was a little band I had called, which
Playing 60s stuff.
we played with 60s stuff. Yeah, that's
Is that
all we
not
did.
still happening?
No, the Conrays has gone by the board. A lot of stuff's gone by the boards in my life.
We've lost Rick's wife, your wife's gone, and the Conrays.
The Conrays have gone.
Have had it.
That's right.
Tell us about Enzo, and tell us what's coming up at the fantastic Hamer Hall.
Well, for those people who don't remember the original Enzo, it was a huge deal. It was a 92-piece orchestra, a 30-piece choir. We did an album, and we toured it right through New Zealand and Australia, doing the big stadiums, and it was really, really successful. This latest incarnation of it, it's like we're doing a celebration for its 21st birthday party, and it's a smaller version. Let's call it more compact, shall we? Rather than smaller, it's more compact. And it's a small string section, it's a brass section, a rhythm section, keyboards, bass, drums, guitar, 3 guest singers, amazing guest singers from New Zealand. And all we're playing is the Split Enz hits, essentially.
In a different way.
Oh, yeah, the original Enzo arrangements that I did back in 94, 95. So you're going to hear the Split Enz songs, but played with a different combo. I call it the ensemble.
The ensemble, very good.
Ensemble, thank you. But those arrangements, and they work really well. You recognise all the songs, and we're playing some songs that are a little more obscure as well.
Any chance of a Split Enz reunion?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. We did it back in 2006 over here. We played at the Rod Laver. Mm-hmm. And I just have the feeling that might be the last. Yeah, I can't imagine.
That's gone by the wayside too.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything's gone by the wayside here.
That's right.
And people can get tickets, of course, at 8centremelbourne.com.au. It must be thrilling to take those songs and, first of all, having done them with the orchestra situation, but also to rework them for a smaller and different approach.
Yeah, well, it sort of shows you that if you've got great songs and
Yes.
great melodies, and you can sort of play them in any sort of context with any sort of combo that you put together, and they still sound great, And people will recognise all the songs. They know all the songs, so it's going to be a night that people really enjoy, I think.
And a wonderful trip down memory lane.
Absolutely.
Of where you were when all these songs were happening, perhaps memories of things that have fallen by the wayside. Just really good.
I try and forget everything
Do
that's
you?
fallen by the wayside.
Can you tell me about playing, and I know this is off topic, but playing a mellotron?
A mellotron, you didn't really play it. A mellotron.
What do you do with it?
Well, a mellotron was
It's a keyboard.
It was a keyboard from the probably early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. It looked like a piece of Clive-built furniture, and it had a small keyboard. And what that keyboard did was you depressed a key, and it would start a motor up, like a sewing machine motor, which would turn a tape, which would run over a head and create a string sound, for instance. And I used it for all the string sounds on the early split ends material.
And did it?
But you didn't play it. That was awful. You didn't play it, and it didn't sound very good. You didn't play it as a keyboard. It didn't. You just depressed
you
the
pressed
key.
the notes.
You pressed the
and
notes.
It suddenly became a string section.
Yes, yeah.
So it's like an early synthesizer.
Like a very early synthesizer, but it wasn't digital. It was fully analog. It was like an old treadle sewing machine, really,
So you've written hits with a treadle sewing machine.
pretty much.
You're pretty clever.
That fell by the wayside too, the old mellotron.
Wonder if anyone has got a mellotron sitting in the garage.
They won't have.
Did you play the last one?
I had mine up until about 5 years ago. And it had come with me. It had followed me around the world, and I must have paid thousands in removalist fees. But it just
Was
sat
it
in
heavy?
my studio, really heavy. Yeah, heavy as a small piano.
That heavy?
Yeah, very heavy.
I say bring back the mellotron.
It's not, and say we did.
Eddie, it's great to see you. I know you've got a headache, and it's still terrific to have you in here and with such great humour. And I'd love to hear from people, bands that sort of mean so much to you in your world. You've just heard from Rick there before, some very fond memories of days in Paran. But there are so many bands who are still around, still doing great business, and it's really good news.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. You know.
And people can experience Enzo version 2 at the Music of Split Ends, 17th of November, Arts Centre Melbourne, artscentremelbourne.com.au is the web address. Lovely to meet you and continued success.
Thank you very much. And I got to say, I heard your voice today, and it was bloody fantastic, amazing.
Thank you.
I had no idea.
What were you listening before the segment? Are you
I
in
was.
music?
I was on YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube.
I was on YouTube.
I don't even know it's on there, and it's not about me. I hate talking about myself. Eddie, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks.